Welcome to Holler Brewery. We're in the centre of Brighton, near enough. At the beginning of September we opened, and we've been producing beer and serving beer to the wonderful people of Brighton and Sussex ever since. So the site that we're in now, in Elder Place in Brighton, was a bit of luck as it was finding the place. We knew the landlord fairly well from years ago of looking at different places. He got offices originally, we looked at. And then we put together a proposal for another site that he had, which was a lot bigger than what we've got. And when we put it all together, it didn't quite work. And then he was like, I've got a crazy idea, do you want to come and see an all clapped out warehouse? So he showed us this place, which was falling to pieces, and I loved it. And that was it really. We saw the potential in it, but the more that we opened and developed the place, the more that we could actually see the real future of what this place has been, which is a noisy brewery apparently. So yeah, again a bit of luck that the place already had the right planning consent. When we were looking to get our licence, which is very important to be able to serve beer here, the council were really supportive. We had about 15 people putting in positive objections, saying that we should open up, and then the council rang us up and said, we've had no negative objections, so if you get everyone to pull out, then we'll give you the licence. And then that was it. And from there, things really started motoring on, and it was just getting the design working, the builders, and cracking on. So the way that we kind of worked on the design of the whole place was it all focused around the brewery. First of all, it needed to be a production space that could then work fairly slickly, because there's nothing like having to shoehorn tanks into an area that becomes very hard for it to work, because the brewers will get pretty unhappy pretty quickly. And once we figured out that we could do that and we had enough storage space, then it was focusing on how we can integrate our design philosophy, where being in pubs and brewing, I wanted to marry them both up, because a lot of breweries that you go into in their tap rooms have massive afterthoughts, where we wanted it to be really integrated, and we wanted to really break down any kind of barrier between the customer and the beer. Beer, the way that you can see, you can go over and touch a tank if needs be. We've got safety precautions in all parts of it, but you can stand right next to the tank and see all of the beers. And equally on the way that we've done the bar is we've made the bar a lot narrower, so there's a lot less distance between the customer and the bar staff, so that really it makes people feel a lot more involved. Little things like the way that the taps are very low down, so that there's nothing in between the customer, so that really it makes you feel like you are in a production area, but fairly comfortable place. And then when it came down to the look and feel of it, Bethany, my girlfriend, who does all of the interior design, she worked really closely with Billy and pulled out a lot of the colour palettes that Billy had produced for all of our pump clips, and then it just started moving from there really. And then it was working with the fabric of the place, and with the fact that we've got a south-facing garden that we could completely open up and make it feel like a bit more of an inside-outside area, and that it was nice and light and airy, and as open for everybody, be it somebody who wants to come in and drink a pint of best bitter, or somebody who wants to try something a bit kind of fresher and hoppier. We covered all of those bases. An important part of anything that I've done has been regeneration. So when I was working, when I opened the Brighton Beer Dispensary in Brighton, we took a really dilapidated pub and breathed a bit of life into it by being very respectful of the traditions of that pub. It meant that when James showed us this place, that for all intents and purposes had been derelict for years and years. You had a couple of corners that people were storing some stuff in. It really kind of excited us to bring back to life a building that hadn't been used for years, and also what we could give to this part of London Road was that it was a cut through. You know, you got the car park there. It was a very dark area. It was fairly dangerous in certain parts. So the way that we could make it a little bit more safe by having good CCTV, good lighting, you know, a nice front to the building, and having just energy of the people being around here a bit more, it's definitely added to the area and added something new, you know, not necessarily competing with what the other great pubs in the area are. You know, hopefully this can bring customers to a part of town that usually might have been a little bit down on their priority list for a place to come and drink beer, because now you haven't just got us, you've got maybe 4 or 5 really good pubs within a couple of 100 yards away, so you can have a proper night out in London Road now. As we've developed and come into this new site, you know, we've had to employ a whole new bar team, which now I think we're up to 10 people on our bar team, and then the brewery team has expanded as well. So within the whole kind of setup now, with me and Anthony and Eric and Gary and Ed and Shanti, you know, there's about 24 of us in total, which is really exciting. That not only have we managed to regenerate a place, you know, as well as making a bit of decent booze, we've given 24 people a job.